what if I told you that at birth, I contracted the most lethal disease known to humankind? Free Maury has it, Winnie and Ralph have it, Freya has it, Alfred has it. And my dear viewer, I regret to inform you that even you have it. And it will turn you from this
to this.
Aging is something we're all too familiar with. If we're lucky, we're born, we become infants, toddlers, kids, teenagers, adults, seniors, and then we die. So it is, and so it's always been. With current technology in medicine, we generally live to about 80 years old, with the last decade of our life riddled with pain and illness. So while we may live to 80 and beyond, we're not exactly winning in the longevity department. But what if I told you it didn't have to be this way? What if heart disease, dementia, and cancer are actually symptoms of something much bigger? What if you could get to 60 and still be as strong and agile as you were in your 20s? Enter David Sinclair. This guy's 50 years old and he looks about 30. He's a professor of genetics at Harvard Medical School and has been studying aging for several decades. His most recent book, Lifespan, is the inspiration for this video. Sinclair proposes that aging is a disease. In fact, it's the most deadly disease known to man, with 100% mortality rate if given enough time. He also proposes that we're able to slow it down, flip it, and reverse it, and potentially one day pause it all together. But before we do that, let's look at what aging looks like from the eyes of an expert.
A lot of things. Like catch a bus, tram, and I'm a bit scared to cross the road here. And the other was so the cook, I'm still not too bad. Not 100%, but I like cooking. I still do it. You know, for my children, my grandchildren, for myself, I still cook. You know, that's the only thing keeping me active. That's the only thing.
How do you spend your free time when you're at home? What do you do?
I watch television. I cook a lot. I sweep the veranda. I wash it with the hose.
Now that was some marvellous insight from Professor Nonna, but it still doesn't actually tell us what exactly aging is. Sinclair suggests that aging is actually just a loss of information. Sinclair calls it the information theory of aging. Now there are two types of information that we're going to consider: genetic information and epigenetic information. Genetic information comes in the form of DNA molecules, which we all remember from high school, and this is considered to be digital information. Think of it like a CD. We know that this kind of information doesn't drive aging because even old animals store replica DNA that can be used to make healthy clones of themselves. Epigenetic information, on the other hand, is considered to be analog. Epigenetics is more about the wrapping of DNA and how it's read. Over time, epigenetic noise makes genes stop acting the way they're supposed to. Essentially, the CD gets scratches on it, and therefore while the genetic information is still there, it becomes difficult to read. Alright, let's get to the important part. What can you do right now to slow aging? The first thing you can do to slow aging is to eat less. If you're living in a first world country, chances are you're eating more than you need, and your body is paying the price. It's estimated that 39% of adults in the world are overweight or obese. That's approximately 2.7 billion people. Now I want to be very clear here. When I say eat less, I don't mean to starve yourself. Ensuring that you consume a nutrient-dense diet with heaps of fruit and veggies is one of the best things you can do for your health. Eating a healthy diet and consuming enough calories to get you through your day is important. Eating all the time is the problem. Think about it like this. Our ancestors didn't have the privilege of 3 to 4 meals a day. They spent a lot of their time traveling in search of berries and plants to consume. Occasionally, they would hunt and have what would be considered their version of a feast. But the reality was that these feasts were far and in between. By those standards, we have feasts every single day. In evolutionary terms, eating 3 meals a day plus snacks is a new phenomenon, one that on the cellular level, our bodies haven't fully adapted to. Now, I'm not saying that you're necessarily unhealthy for eating that much every day, but if we're talking purely in terms of longevity, research is leaning towards the idea that the more you overconsume, the older you're going to look and feel. By occasionally fasting, you're activating the body's survival circuit, which according to Sinclair boosts cellular defenses, wards off disease, and slows down aging. If you don't want to stop eating, because let's be honest, who wants to do that? Sinclair talks about some up-and-coming technology and medicine, some of which he takes himself and have proved to be helpful in the fight against aging. NAD boosters, metformin, resveratrol, and Yamanaka factors are just a few avenues that have been explored. In one particular study, Sinclair's team was able to grow back a damaged optical nerve in an old mouse, something that was until then considered impossible. Then of course, exercise is your best friend. Similar to fasting, it encourages your survival circuit and turns on your longevity genes. The tech and medicine currently available are all in their early stages, but with more money invested and more research conducted, we're expecting big changes in our future. We're talking people living healthy lives to 100 and possibly even longer. With advances in gene editing and the ability to 3D print organs, it's possible that we could stop aging in its tracks altogether. Now this will have implications on work, relationships, domestic and global economies, politics, insurance, and heaps of other things. The point is though, aging is a disease, and we're figuring out ways to cure it. There's no universal law made by Dr. Manhattan that states we can only live to 100. I'm sure our ancestors never thought that one day people might live to 80, but here we are. Now I hear you say, if everyone lives longer, we'll have more problems. For example, climate change, overpopulation, less resources, and I'm glad that you brought that up. There's no denying that there are some legitimate concerns about having the population live significantly longer. But I share a similar view to Sinclair, and I'm optimistic about the future. Humans have adapted to every adversity we've ever faced. We have almost 8 billion people living on this planet, something that was originally thought unsustainable. Yet here we are living the best lives in the history of our species. Now when resources get scarce, we come up with ingenious ideas to create more from less, or innovate something else entirely. Job markets are likely to change with the introduction of general AI and longer lifespans. And with that, we might experience an entire paradigm shift of what it means to actually be human. What I'm trying to say is people like to imagine the future, but only with our current technology, ideas, and values, all of which are very likely to change. If we continue to use our ingenuity and debate new technologies, values, and societal norms, we're more likely to make well thought out decisions and drastically increase our chances of overcoming any problems that may arise. If anything I've said in this video sounds too good to be true or doesn't really make sense, it's probably because I've explained it like an idiot. David goes through everything with so much detail that I can't put into a video like this, and he has all the research and evidence to back it up. So please read this book or watch some of David's videos online, which I'll link in the description below, and draw your own conclusions from it. The best thing we can do is make this general knowledge and have as many people debating its implications from as many different angles as possible. So let's continue to ask questions about what we want from the future. But more importantly, let's be open to it, because it's going to come either way. The difference is whether we'll be prepared or not.
Thank you. See you later. I love you. Bye.